happy Independence Day to everyone. It is July 4th and I am up and a little later than I wanted to be, but it was pouring and now it's finally let up a bit. So I went up to the hut and checked the weather report, and it's no different, man. It's going to be cold. It's going to be in the 30s, wind chills possibly in the 20s. It's going to be rainy all day. So, you know, whatever. I'm going. Got my 15 miles to do. I'm going to go get everything put up, my tent and everything, and get on the road here. I don't know if I'll be videoing at all today. We'll just have to see if if it's pouring rain and I'm trucking along and just trying. I'm freezing to death. My fingers barely work because it's so cold. I'm not going to do anything. So you may just get a video from me tonight. It's only saying like, well, I'm alive, bye, So we'll see what happens today. Alright, I'm on the top of Mount Madison. This is pretty much what my whole day's been like, for miles and miles and miles. And I have lots to talk about and lots of cool things to say, but no cool video. This is what you're going to get today. And this is probably all you're going to get the entire day. I only have about maybe 3 more miles into my campsite. And this is literally the first time it's been dry enough and warm enough, and it is not warm, but warm enough and dry enough for me to actually get my phone to operate with my fingers. So I've just taken a quick video showing you a little bit of what the day's like. Tonight, I'm going to just ramble in my tent about stuff, and hope it's not too boring. Bye! Alright, this is going to just probably be a big rambling of the day. For those of you who are used to seeing, snippets of what was going on and where I was at and pictures at the end and all that kind of stuff, this is not going to be this video. That little bit of the mountain you just saw is it. So I'm just going to tell you a little about things. So it was wet and cold this morning, very wet and cold. And as you know, I was quite nervous about heading out into the middle of nowhere. And I mean, it's pretty amazing. I know I don't have any video really much for you, but I mean, it is almost like a desert up there. It's above tree line. There's nothing. I mean, there might be a little tiny bit of growth on the grounds like this tall, and almost looks like an Arctic tundra in some places. And then in most places it is just boulders. I mean, I'm not kidding you. It's a 4,000 foot mountain of boulders. Like, that's it. And you're just walking on that the whole time, jumping from boulder to boulder, trying not to slip and kill yourself. And sometimes you are slipping and falling. And I mean, I faced it straight into this. It was like a little scrubby bush, thank goodness it wasn't a big rock. I mean, just, there's almost no way to keep it from happening occasionally. So anyway, it was very wet, and, luckily I've got some good gear. I mean, I had this Omni wool top that I had on, long sleeve, shirt over top of just my normal button up that I wear. And really, I was drenched by the end of the day, but I was still warm, because, wool will keep you insulated, and I had my rain gear over top of it, which, you're still sweating inside, some rain's still getting in, you're still getting saturated over the course of an entire, 10 or 12 hour day, but it keeps the water from evaporating off of you, from the wind getting in, from water just running over on you, and, so as long as you stay moving, you're okay. So anyway, the day consisted of, me going from my tent site to one of the huts, which was 5 miles away-ish, and checking the weather there. And it was cold getting there, and it was a hard hike, and a lot of it was above tree line. But I just kept moving, and as long as I kept moving, I was good. And I learned that really quickly because I stopped moving for, after a while, I started feeling pretty comfortable. I thought, okay, I need to eat something. So I stopped, and of course I had these, I had my gloves on, I had Ziplocs over top of them. It's pouring rain. I couldn't, it's a big to-do, and it takes quite a while to get all that stuff off. Try not to get it all, the gloves soaking wet. Get out something to eat it, put all that stuff away, get the gloves back on, the Ziplocs back on, it might not sound like that much, but it's a mess. So I did it. Oh my gosh, by the time I was done eating that one snack, I was freezing, and it took me another 30 minutes to warm up, and I just hiked as hard as I could. So, so that's how cold it was this morning. I don't know how cold it was exactly, but it was for sure in the 30s. There were some crazy winds up on Mount Washington. The sustained winds, I guess, were supposed to be around 15, but there were winds where I was walking like this, because if I would have walked straight up, I would have blown over, So, it's a bunch of random stuff, but got to the top of Mount Washington. I had no views at all today whatsoever. Never saw a single thing beyond, just a couple football fields beyond wherever I was standing. At the top of Mount Washington, there are several buildings. There's a snack bar and a concession thing, and there's, various things. Some, I think a government building and whatever. But, of course, kind of true to how everything seems to be working out in this area, the food was closed, so I couldn't get any food. The food opened at 11. I don't know what time it was, but it wasn't 11, and I wasn't hanging around. So I went in, wasted a few minutes, and then just left and went back out and hiked some more. Then hiked up, a couple along some areas and stuff, and then went to Mount Madison, which is where I videoed from, because finally by then the temperature had come up a little bit. The rain had slowed substantially, maybe even had stopped at that point. Most of the day, it was still raining, even though it was just enough to keep me wet all the time, but not like pouring on me for the majority of the second half of the day. What else? That might be about it. I'll tell you one thing. There are a lot of people on the trail that love this section. Think it's really cool, all the boulders, climbing around. There are a lot of people that think it is ridiculous, and they hate it. And they hate it because it's hard, but they also hate it because they don't think it's hiking, It's like, you are balancing for your life half the time. It does feel dangerous. You do wipe out, and a lot of times you're using all four of your limbs, you're like hands-on, almost climbing, rock climbing. For sure, kind of bouldering and scrambling. And, it's one thing to do that periodically through a hike, when you have to get up over something or another. But it's another thing to just do it continuous. There were just hours and hours and hours, not just today, but the past week, of just that kind of climbing, where it's very technical. And so anyway, a lot of people do not love that and don't feel like it's really that appropriate for this area, and it scares them. And I would say I probably fall somewhere in between. I think it's pretty cool. I have had a lot of fun on those boulders and playing around on that, and testing my skills on it and all of that. But I will also tell you, I am done. I was done with it after about the first 2 or 3 hours today. Like, I've had enough bouldering, It was a cool little fun, unique thing to do in the middle of my Appalachian Trail hike, but I don't need to do that for a week and a half, and I probably still have another week of it left, and I'm tired of it. It's slow. It doesn't really feel like hiking. It's not really what I want to be doing, but it's, it is what it is. It's part of the trail, and you have to accomplish it. So anyway, that's where my head's at with it. So once I got to camp tonight, this tent site is fine. There's, it's, whatever. It's great. It's got a bear box. I like that. So, it's been pouring, and now it's kind of slowed down. But I've probably been here over 2 hours, and I'm just now to the point where I'm kind of laying down. I'm warm. I've eaten already. I'm able to do this video. It's so hard, when it rains day after day, because everything's wet. I mean, when I set up tonight, the whole inside of the tent was wet from yesterday and from this morning when I put it all away. So I had to dry it off, with my one little microfiber towel, which is awesome because I can dry everything out and then wring it out and dry again and wring it out. And I mean, it pretty much dries everything. So, so that was good. But then, got to eat and coordinate trying to clean things and keep stuff dry and not get food in your tent, because you don't want bears and stuff to smell it and come in the middle of the night and all of that. Didn't want to change into my dry clothes because I know I still have to get back out after I'm done eating and put all my food in the bear box, right? So I'm in here eating and preparing everything and trying to organize and whatever, without getting everything soaking wet, but still in my soaking wet clothes. I mean, it's impossible, And then I finally finished eating, got out, brushed my teeth, put everything in the bear box that smells, came back, took off all my clothes, tried to set them aside in some place where they weren't going to get everything wet, got on dry clothes, which I always have. I'm wearing this puffy jacket, which I never wear. It is like my last ditch, safety, save my life type of thing, but everything else is wet. And so I'm wearing it right now, and it's not saving my life, but it's making me comfortable. So, then I wrung everything out as best I could, tried to hang it around different places, but there's hardly anywhere to put anything in this little dinky tent. So mostly stuff's just stacked up on my you can't really see it, but my backpack's sitting right there outside the tent in a little vestibule area, and it's just stacked up on there, and it'll be soaking wet in the morning, and I'll put it on a hike again. Now the good news, hopefully tomorrow it won't rain. The forecast is that it's going to be nicer, like maybe 50 and no rain. So if that's the case, then first of all, I can put on my wet stuff and I won't be freezing cold like it was this morning when I put it on. And also then it will dry real fast because I'm out, hiking in it, and the stuff I'm not wearing I'll hang from the back of the pack and let it dry, as I hike along and stuff. So anyway, I've got my sleeping bag is fairly damp. I can feel it on my backside right now. It's a little wet, but it's keeping me warm. It's working, so that's good. I think that's probably about it. So, it was a good day, It was a hard day, but, I kind of proved to myself. I mean, it was interesting being out there. It was very solitary. I mean, I was just out in the middle of nowhere, just on this, above tree line, with hardly any people. I mean, there were times where I didn't see anybody for hours. And then there were times where I'd be getting close to maybe one of the huts or something, and I'd start seeing somebody every 15 minutes, because it was somebody paying to stay at the hut. They'd driven up or something to the hut, and then they were just, out for a little hike. They're like, oh, I will do a little excursion for 30 minutes and just kind of hike around on some of these trails or something like that. So I'd see a whole bunch of people like that, families or whatever it was. But there were some cool moments too. There was a time where I was out, and I happened to kind of be feeling that right at that moment, very solitary, and I was looking around and just seeing that, there was just nothing. It looked so sparse and just like, you know, my gosh, if something happened to me, somebody might not ever find me here, you know. I just was kind of having thoughts like that. And then all of a sudden at that moment, it was the one time today that I saw the sun. The only time. And it was right up to my right, and it just came out for just a second. I just looked up, put my face up, and just let it heat up my face, and just kind of felt it and took it all in. And you know, it just felt so good. I just had a big smile on my face, and then it just went away. And you know, and then I just hiked on and kind of had a better attitude about things for a while from that point. And so anyway, it was a fun day. But by the end of the day, like I said, I was getting frustrated with all these stupid boulders and the fact that I was having to go a half a mile an hour because you can't go fast on them. And I'm ready to start doing some miles. So anyway, all right. So that's 14 minutes of me rambling and rambling and rambling. And that's the, you know, you may not be interested. This may just be a video journal for me to kind of recollect later sort of what went on today. But I wanted to at least get it down. So hopefully I didn't bore you too bad. Good night.